Hey everyone, welcome to Unveiling Beauty. It's so good to be back here and see all of you. Hey Mr. Carver, how are you?
Good, Mr. Stenson. How about yourself?
Really good. Nice to see your face from afar.
I know, once again, here we are.
I know. So we have an action-packed show today, but I got a really cool email that I wanted to share that I just thought was so cool. In thinking about a time when we're trying to take care of each other as we get back into stores and back into the business. I got an email. I'm not going to name names because I promised I would keep them personal. But I got an email from a member of our team that said, I love the synergies between our services and our retail teams. The other day, one of our retail associates had a flat tire, and one of our elite stylists helped the person get to the place to get the tire, and then realized that she not only needed one, she needed two tires, and he paid for the tires to be replaced for her. And didn't even tell her. He just took care of it. He didn't want any credit for it, but he just took care of it because he wanted to pay it forward and do something really sweet. So those type of emails when I don't get enough of them, and I love them so much that I just wanted to share with everyone. Congrats at Just Humanity and doing something really cool for your fellow peers.
Well, thanks for starting our day off with that. It's like a nice warm fuzzy right there, huh?
I know. It makes me feel happy to share stories about our teams like that.
Yeah.
So what have you been up to?
Oh, just working away, just trying to think about creative ways for keeping Unveiling episode going, moving forward. And as we get to open more and more doors, which is really, really exciting, talking about how our education team can start to get into stores and start to provide support for our stylists that are working, all with, those fun issues of like store capacity and social distancing and all that stuff, because safety is first, but we also want to make sure that they're in there and that they're feeling supported so that they can get back and get taking charge of their careers. So it's keeping me busy, trust me.
That's awesome.
I mean,
Yeah, I know. I look forward to education, real in-person education. But in the meantime, we have this platform. So let's talk about some education that we're going to share today.
Yeah, so I'm excited because we haven't done an episode yet on Unveiling Beauty, which is hard to believe because we've had so many episodes going on so far. We haven't done one specifically about cutting. And so I'm very excited to have one that's it's all about cutting today. And we have an artist coming on board today that you guys will know very well. And I made sure really quickly just to double check my figures on just how well known he is. He has 679,000 followers on Instagram. So slightly celebrity status in the cutting world. Nick, I know you know him because of your affiliation with him, with Matrix also, but such a cool guy. And I would love to welcome to the show, Mr. Philip Wolff.
Hey, Philip, how are you? Good. Thanks for hanging out with us today.
Hey, it's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so talk to us. What have you been doing in quarantine these days?
Oh gosh, you know what? Catching up on sleep for the first time in years, That's
I haven't perfected that one yet.
That's a good answer.
So talk to me about some hair. I mean, obviously you're known for cutting. We love your videos on social. Obviously, I work with you at Matrix, so I get to see you up close and personal all the time. But I know that you're a big proponent of consultations before we get to the cut. So talk about that. Why is it important to you?
Yes, I think consultation is very important. And, funny enough, I know sometimes, stylists, we get in the habit of, especially our longtime clients, I try not to make it a habit of just sending them straight to shampoo. Whether I've done their hair thousands of times, and I feel I know what they want. I'm still gonna have them sit down, even if it's for a minute. Go over their hair, ask them if they want anything a little bit different, or things like that. Now, if it's a new client, I definitely want to make sure that I ask some key questions, and also I do encourage pictorial references as such. So those are important, I think.
I couldn't agree with you more, Philip. I think sometimes like bringing the photos is like that language barrier between, it helps connect like language between stylists and our consumers in our chair, right? Our guests in our chair. Because sometimes they say choppy fringe, and what we see as choppy fringe might be something completely different to them, right?
Absolutely.
I wanted to talk to you specifically about some things that you really consider when you're factoring in like a haircut. You know, specifically, I want to talk to you about like, how do density, growth pattern, and texture play into your like hair design?
Yes, absolutely. Those three things are actually very important. So as I'm doing the consultation, of course I ask first, but then I go through the hair. So I have to physically sort of see what's happening here because, first of all, by this time they've shown me a picture, we're talking about a few things. And then number one, let's say, for example, I'm going to make this up, but let's say they have longer hair, it's super coarse and thick, and they want a lob. Well, we all know once you go lob, that hair is going to go, it's going to be very, very almost wig-like on their head. So immediately I have to think, okay, what length of lob? Also, is there going to be some undercutting happening there to reduce weight? It's kind of like this. I talk about this a lot where I refer to formulating a shape in my head as the consultation goes, much like a mathematical problem in a way, So it's like you have the answer because we know what they want in the end. And we have a few points of what we already know. We just have to figure out that full equation, right? And that comes in with what techniques I'm thinking about using on them. What type of layering, graduating if need be, and undercutting, underlayering, things of that nature, texturizing, right? And so that's where the density comes in. Texture also, if they have curly hair, wavy hair, frizzy hair, those also come into play. Hair growth is an issue. Let's say they want a fringe, but yet they have like a whirl right there or something, so I have to make sure it's not going to float forward, you know what I mean, like that. Or let's say we want a nice taper at the back, or maybe, something shorter in the back, but if they have, those two nape things where the hair grows upward first, so we have to consider those things. Otherwise, they can be a disaster.
Yeah. Talk about lifestyle. How about that? Do you ever ask that in the consultation? Like, take into consideration, are they an executive of a company or are they in a rock band? And how does that kind of play into the formula of how you cut their hair?
Yes, absolutely. The lifestyle is a huge factor for me as well, as especially here in Los Angeles, because, there's a lot of people, they're very active. They like to do what I call sort of the dual lifestyle. Maybe during the day for work, they have to be, a certain way. And then at night, they want to go out. They want to show some more, cool factor with the hair, things like that. So also for men and women for that matter. But let's say no matter what, they want layers, but they do wear their hair up a lot because maybe they do a lot of fitness stuff and they don't want hair in their face. Well, obviously I know depending where they wear their ponytail or their bun or what have you, are they willing to use a little clip or anything if we do shorter layers or a side swoop, or are they not? Do they need all that hair to fit in the ponytail, or do they not care at all? Are they a person who has wavy hair who's going to wear it wavy, or are they going to be blow drying it most of the time? These are the little factors that help me figure out that shape.
I can relate to that so much because I know, Philip, I've had a lot of clients that they want a certain haircut and you give them that haircut and then they didn't take the time, or maybe I didn't take the time to ask them about their physical fitness activity. And then they come back to me and go, oh my God, I loved it. But every time I went to work out, it drove me crazy. And so I can't deal with this haircut anymore. And so that's a really great tip to pay attention to as you're going through there. So I know that I've watched you in your videos, you've worked with us on stage. And I know a lot of times on stage we do dry cutting because it's the easiest way for them to see a finished result. But I think for the viewers who have a little bit more experience in the working behind the chair, talk to us about wet cutting versus dry cutting and when you choose to use either one.
Right, exactly. So this actually is a great question because this ends up being in the comments a lot, right? And also in the Q&A. I don't think that there's necessarily a perfect rule, like a set, you can only dry cut this and you can only wet cut that. I think it's very individualistic. I'll speak on when it works for me, which is I dry cut when I need to make a result that I feel is easier done wet. Excuse me, dry. For example, let's say blending extensions, for example.
Yeah.
So if I want to blend layers with extensions, I'm going to do that dry because for me, it's easier to do that way. You know what I mean? Now, when it comes to I need exact control and precision with a certain part of the hair, I'm going to do that wet, because let's face it, at the end of the day, it's a lot easier to do when the hair is wet than it is dry. And also, I tend to do a lot of the sort of detailing and personalization when it's dry as well. I don't know, it's kind of like anything in between that, though, is basically based on feel. If I feel this individual, I can control it well with my hands, I'll knock it out dry. If I don't feel as confident, then I'll say, no, you know what, I do prefer this wet. And actually, I've done this a lot where maybe the hair is fully dry, but I just need that extra touch of control. I'll just take a fine spray of water and I'll just lightly spray. It doesn't have to be sopping wet, but believe it or not, you probably, all of you know, just a little bit of that wetness can actually help you big time control that area that you need. And then it's easier to dry, get it done, and that way you can stay on time too.
Makes so much sense.
I think that's a really good tip. It's interesting. I think about some of the cuts that I do, and once it's dry, it looks completely different, right? You could see all the cuts that you put into the haircut, so you can see exactly how it's falling. And sometimes you want to go back in detail some of that out. But I like the idea of just misting the hair so you can gain back that control and then polish it back to finish it off. So good tip. I like that a lot.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, my friend. Well, lots of good tips from you. Miss seeing you in person. I hope to get to see you very soon. And I really appreciate you spending some time with us today.
Yes, likewise. Thanks for having me, you two. Can't wait to see you guys again.
You look great, buddy. Good to see you.
Take care. We'll see you soon.
Thank you. All right.
All right. He's awesome. I love watching him cut hair. He's just got such a really fluid way of cutting, and it makes it so easy to follow is if you're sitting in an audience or you're watching him on social media. He's just, and plus he's an overall just great guy. So it's always nice to spotlight good people.
I agree with you, Nick, and he's a great communicator, right? So like when you have somebody, so oftentimes he's got the social media following because his work is pristine, but he can communicate what he's doing, and so he's a very powerful educator too. Yeah. Plus, he just looks cool. I mean, who doesn't want dreadlocks like down to their waist, right? Like,
I'm gonna try that one day.
Maybe like when he was talking about like people who want to be one way in the morning and then go the other way at night. I'm like, me and Nick's hair kind of looks same day to night, pretty much. That's not us.
Although with my hair getting longer, it's kind of crazy. It does its own thing.
Well, maybe we'll have like a high ponytail look at night or something.
Maybe. You never know. You never know where I'm going to go with this hair.
Well, before we go any further with creative hair ideas for you, I think we should bring on our next guest because I know he's one of our personal favorites on our design team. Please welcome to the show, Mr. Gilad Goldstein. Hey, Gilad, how you doing, buddy?
Hey guys, thanks so much for having me. I'm super excited to be on the show today.
Good to see you. We're so excited to have you here. And by the way, great job stepping in for us the other day with Haley.
Bravo. Had no doubts. Such a leader. Great job.
Not going to lie, I feel a little bit more comfortable as a guest than a host. So I'm kind of excited for this.
Oh, that's awesome.
We'll make sure we put you as a host again because it's our job to put you out of your comfort zone. So just be ready when I know that.
All right, that's cool.
All right, Gilad. So first question to fire at you. I want to know where you find inspiration for some of your favorite haircuts.
I take inspiration from a lot of places, but right now what's really popular is Korean pop. And I've kind of been on this bandwagon for a little while, but I've really taken a lot of inspiration from some of my favorite bands. This mannequin head that I have here is called a 2-block haircut, and it's really common in Korean pop star hair. And the reason that it's such a nice haircut is that it's so versatile because it's short underneath and longer on top. And what you do with the top gives it character for your clients. So I'm really excited for when I get back to the salon because I can take that interest in K-pop and make my clients kind of enjoy it too.
So talk to me about texturizing. A lot of people love texturizing, and I'm looking at that haircut and I would think that texturizing would play a nice role in that cut. But how do you maintain texture while preserving the shape?
That's a really good question because oftentimes when we're texturizing, we might be on autopilot and we're not fully thinking about what we're doing. So I did actually bring a different mannequin head to demonstrate something for you. You may recognize this from my Instagram, but this is my little bob haircut. And
Beautiful.
what you can see with this haircut is that it's really, really strong. It has a strong horizontal line. So what we want to do is texturize the shape without disrupting the line. And the way to do that is to take similar sections to how you built the foundation. So I cut this shape with horizontal sections working up the head. And just like I cut the foundation, I would take those similar horizontal sections and we would just cut to texturize the cutting line. That gives you a lot of versatility too, because you can go down further and just diffuse your cutting line. Or if you really wanted to add more movement, you could hold your fingers a little bit deeper into the section and point cut more deeply inside, which will also collapse the shape and give more of a fluidity to the look. Why we want to do this too is if we take a vertical section, I'm just going to move her to a slightly different view. If we take a vertical section in a horizontal haircut, we're going to cut a new vertical line within our haircut, even if it's just texture. So what happens when we do that is we create a different shape within the shape, and that's when you start to compromise the overall look. So you can change the shape by taking different sections, but if you're really happy with what you cut at the start, take the same subsections and texturize in those same sections.
I like that. Now, would that create more of a square collapse shape, or will it give you more roundness?
Depends on where you elevate, and it also depends on how deep you're texturizing in. So if I wanted to keep more of that square shape, I'll probably elevate the hair really, really low because I'm going to get a stronger or a heavier weight line, and I'll texturize within that point. But if I want a little bit more roundness or I want to really collapse the shape, I think of it as if I'm layering the hair, but with texture. So we'll elevate the hair higher, which will help to layer the hair. And then when we cut deeper into the section, we're creating slightly more rounded pieces and slightly more layered texture that'll give a little bit of a rounder look to your shape. So your elevation and where you're actually point cutting into the hair makes a huge difference in the end result.
So good. I know, Ammon, you have a question, but I just wanted to point something out. I know there's a lot of people doing education right now on social media, especially due to the current environment that we're in. A tip, if I could give anybody, is that this is a perfect example of a beautifully colored mannequin head. If you're doing education, especially cutting or styling, people want to see beautiful color. So make sure you take the time to color that hair, do some creative color on it. I mean, that's a green hair and it looks incredibly beautiful. So well done on the color as well as the cut.
Yeah, and you know what, Nick, and I'm just going to take it a step further and just right off the social media train because Gilad has grown exponentially since he's joined our design team. He's now up to 96.1 thousand followers, which is no small feat. Congratulations to you, buddy.
Yeah, wow.
And I know that it has so much to do with your passion for education and the way you are like to articulate like the video content. I challenge anybody that's looking for just free education, go to his page. He has got video after video that really just nails it down into bite-sized pieces that you can use and put into action right away. So your challenge, go visit My Guilty Crown. I know it's coming at the bottom of the screen right now, and we'll get you even more followers. Okay, Gilad? But back to the haircut, I wanted to talk to you because even in a length like that, right, there's a difference between short layers and long layers. And I want to ask you, like, what are the benefit of long layers?
So long layers, it can be on any shape, like you're saying. So we have a bob here, or we could have a long chest length haircut. But what long layers are going to do for a haircut is give it a little bit of extra movement and give it a little bit more versatility in the styling. If you have a blunt haircut, all the weight sits at the very bottom of your shape. And what happens is whenever you try to alter your shape with texture, whether that's with a curling iron, a flat iron, even a crimper, your weight is always going to sit really, really heavy at the bottom, and it could make it really difficult to hold a different shape. So adding long layers into the haircut not only gives it a fluid movement, but it also allows you to create different looks that'll actually hold. So if you've got a place to be, you know that your style is going to hold up.
Great
That's
answer.
cool.
Fluid movement. That's the key to our mantra these days.
That's right.
Yeah, for real.
Well done.
You know, a lot of people are getting in touch with their guests and they're trying to figure out where they're going to put them in their book. And they're just kind of a little bit overwhelmed with how many people have pent up demand to get their hair done coming out of COVID. Is there any tips or tricks or any suggestions you have for express cutting?
Yeah, I think right now more than ever, because we have so many guests that are contacting us trying to get their hair done, we need to know how to approach the haircuts in a faster way. Philip was talking about how he does a lot of dry cuts, and I also see that in his videos, and that's a really great way to approach faster hair cutting. But condensed cutting is also another way that we can get through the haircut a little bit more quickly so that we can accommodate more guests behind the chair. A great thing that you can do, especially for most of your guests who want long layers, is a condensed cutting in the front. So let's see if I can get a decent view. Right now, what I'll do is just section off the front from the back, and we have her sectioned off in half. And we're going to cut the entire side section all at once. So you'll see how quickly we get this layered shape. But we're going to stand on the opposite side of the head. We're going to elevate all the hair up vertically, and then we're going to wrap it right over top of our guest's head. And you want to make sure that you're really wrapping it because you want to get a nice rounded layered effect so it looks soft and beautiful. Once you determine where you want that layering to start, simply cut that entire section and you'll get the layered look. So this is going to look really scary, but I'm just going to point cut all that hair away. Piece out.
You get it.
And
boy.
once we release it, I know, kind of intimidating. Once we release it, we're going to see all of these layers come back in. So watch as she kind of flows. And she still has that length, but now she has a softer kind of face frame look and a layered effect, basically in one simple cut. You could do that on the opposite side and then the two back quadrants, and you could have a layered haircut probably within 10 minutes. Then the rest of the time is just styling, and maybe she could do that herself if she needs to get out of there.
Amazing.
I mean, time is money.
Yeah, time is money for sure. But this is a really great way to still get a very modern end result. It's not like you're taking a shortcut. It's that you've gotten creative with the methodology to get to the end result. And that's what's great about that cut.
Yeah,
totally. Well, I think that it's really important to understand what you're doing. So I can show you this condensed cut and you could copy it. But if you don't know what you're doing, you want to be really, really careful with it. So what I would challenge any hairstylist out there that wants to elevate their hair cutting skills is to have a better understanding of the head form. Because so often we're focused on elevating, we're often focused on over-directing, but we forget that everyone's head shape is unique and different. So we have to understand where each part of the head is, because that's going to allow you to choose your sections to do your condensed cutting really effectively. So take some time to study the head form, learn about hair cutting. It's not just about copying a haircut, but you really want to know what you're doing so you can execute the best look for your guest.
I couldn't have said it better myself. Education is key, right? And once you know what you're doing, you can do it efficiently, quickly, and then you have time to either give them styling tips and give them some other alternatives, or save them some time and get them on their way out the door so that they can carry about their lives. Gilad, as usual, organized, very, very articulate with the way that you delivered your information, very on point, very, very useful. I applaud you. I know I opened up by saying you're one of our favorites. We have no favorites, but you are one of our many favorites on the design team. Just so proud of you and all the work that all the design team members are doing. And thank you so much for showing up so strong today on our first ever cutting episode on Unveiling Beauty.
Yeah,
Awesome.
Thank you guys so much for having me. It was really cool.
I can't wait to go try out this haircut. I think I'm going to do this on my sister. I'm going to give her a new cut. So I'll let you know. I'll send you a picture and let you know how it turns out.
Thanks, Gilad. We'll see you soon,
Take care, Gilad.
See ya.
All right, Ammon.
Yeah, good one.
Today about getting my hands and scissors. It's been a minute, so I'm looking forward to doing some hair. How about you?
Yeah. Your sister, your mom. I think they're all in for it today.
I think so. So, cool segment today. Lots of great tips on hair cutting. What's coming up the rest of the week?
So coming up next, we are actually going to do a two-part series. The first part is going to be about bridal makeup, and then after that, we're going to talk about bridal styling. So even though in this time where maybe some of the weddings are being postponed, it's a good time for us to brush up in those skills so that as we start to open up and maybe in the fall when people start to have those weddings, that we're good and prepared and set up for not only makeup, but hair services. So coming up next, bridal makeup.
Awesome. I know. I can't wait to go to a wedding. I'll be honest with you. I want to go dance and be around a lot of fun
Oh,
people
me too.
and
I
be
know.
happy. So I'm looking forward to some bridal makeup and hair. So look forward to that. In the meantime, have a great week, everyone, and we'll see you on the next Unveiling Beauty.